I got a great guest in studio weekly at this time. I'm real happy to talk to Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
More good news coming out of your recruits in the academy. You got promotions and tops of the class and things like that.
Hey, you know, it's been so exciting for us this last year, especially, and Deputy Melissa Wood. We went up last week for her graduation from the academy. Especially proud of Melissa as well. She was in my 6th grade class when I was a teacher.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I'm thrilled. Melissa came out. Isn't that something?
It's amazing.
And there's another deputy in our office that she was his 2nd grade teacher.
Oh my gosh.
So that puts me back there a ways now. Melissa came out 2nd overall academically, very, very close to the first spot academically. And as you know, in each one of our classes when I've been down here recently, the people that we're hiring are coming out the very, very top in the top groups each time. That's very, very tough to do in the state of Washington when you're taking people, the best people that have tested all across the state, putting them in one room for 4.5 months and to come out with those kind of scores. So we're thrilled with Deputy Wood and her accomplishments at the academy. She's back and she's starting her time on the road now, and we're thrilled to have her here. Promotion-wise, in the law enforcement business, because we have different ranks through, when you have a person retire or somebody moves a position, it causes a chain reaction all the way down. So if one person moves, so we have a lieutenant's promotion. We're going to be promoting 3 this week, and we're not adding new positions. These aren't new people. It's just that they're moving up in rank. When somebody leaves or a new spot is formed, we have movement all the way down. So on Friday we'll be promoting a person to lieutenant, and on Friday we'll be proposing a person to sergeant. And as that sergeant moves up to lieutenant, and then as that sergeant moves up to lieutenant, we'll be promoting a corporal. So we've had quite a bit of movement, and I expect that probably in the next few years we're in semi-aging department, and there's a lot of us that have reached our minimum retirement age. And so as people start to move forward, you're going to see a lot of changes in our leadership staff, which is great.
Is that kind of how it is throughout the whole state too? The age of the higher ranks are kind of close to that minimum retirement?
Yeah, very close. I know that the State Patrol in the last few years, as you know, we picked up Chief Ryan Sperling came from the Washington State Patrol. Well, it's 25 years and out. And so depending on what group you get started with, you get started at 21 years old. And a lot of it has to do with, like right now, the economy's getting better, so departments are hiring more across the state. Well, then, 25, 30 years from now, that big group that they just hired now, they came in at the same time, and they all go out. So you get these highs and lows in recruiting and movement across the board. So right now that's fairly true, and the academy classes are just packed because agencies are adding people.
It's 7:46, talking with Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Let's do some situational awareness this morning. I was on my early morning walk, 4 o'clock in the morning, out walking around the neighborhood. I see a officer car come kind of around the neighborhood, stop there with the lights, and is obviously looking for something. Then I kind of am going around other parts of my neighborhood on the way to pick up Patrice, and I see other law enforcement officials. They're in the middle of an active duty investigation, it looks like. Often people want to, and they feel like they're helping by maybe going up to the officers, talking with them, engaging with them. They're in the middle of a situation, and when it comes to these things, you don't know who these people are. They could be the ones you're looking at or looking for, right? So how do you encourage people to talk with you guys when the lights are flashing, or everybody just stay away and we're going to do our job now? And I guess also too, when you kind of go on calls and there's people outside, you're not necessarily sure who the one who called was, who may be the perpetrator, things like that. Let's kind of go through those.
Yeah, it's really challenging, and it's situational, because if it's a collision scene or something, we've been there a long time and most things are being moved and people's just directing traffic or something. But if it's an active circumstance, it's occurring now, and either a SWAT team is on scene and they're really focused on what they're doing. We usually have, as best we can, perimeter staff out there contacting the public you can, but we try to keep the traffic moving and that things, because if one person stops, it backs up traffic all the way back down the road. And in the case of circumstances around residents and things, one of the things that's very, very challenging for us is getting a call that, well, there's a suspicious person. Somebody calls at the neighbor's house, or somebody themselves as a homeowner calls and says, there's a suspicious person at my house. I want him out of my yard. And generally, our dispatchers are trying to get information to distinguish those parties from each other. And when you're responding there, of course, we're in uniform, and we get out of the car. There's two people there, and maybe one of them's armed. Well, we don't always know which one is the homeowner and which one is a suspicious person,
okay,
or which one we're having the circumstance with. And so we immediately ask people to put down their firearms. And oftentimes, people that are at their home are tentative to do that.
Sure.
This is my house. These are my rights. But we don't know who you are. And then when we say, please this, and afterwards, well, you should have known because I'm the one that called. But we don't always know when we get there. And typically descriptions for us in our business is just the way life is. Average size male with a dark hoodie or the dark coat. And you get there, what's average size, and both of them have on a dark coat.
Yeah.
We'll get calls at an intersection, and they'll say, vehicle is having problems. It's a white car. You pull up the intersection, what's there going to be on that day? There's going to be 6 of them
Sure.
sitting down the road. So it's just the way it kind of goes for us. But those circumstances can become very, very dangerous for us. And when people refused to be cooperative immediately, any tentative on that thing, it can become a very strenuous situation, and it's dangerous.
And I'd imagine if you're the one who calls law enforcement, the other party would be startled when you show up. I mean, not that that's your tell, but
Right.
you see, well, if you're the person who called and you have the firearm, perhaps if you do, and you set it down, the other person who was the reason for the call may change their demeanor a little enough to tell, but still, you don't know.
Property line disputes, two people out in the,
for
you
sure.
know, they've got a big piece of property and they're both out there and they both go out there armed, or it's just confrontational. These things happen, fairly frequently.
They both look at you. He's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy.
Exactly. And so you're standing there and you've got maybe two armed people. And so when we ask people to put their firearm down, we like to have them do it pretty immediately, not wait and explain to us their rights or they're the property owners, and just safer for everybody. It's challenging, but it's something that's come up. We were at the state sheriff's meeting last week talking about the same thing, and just given the circumstances all across the country right now and things that are going on, it's just a little bit more strenuous in those circumstances.
Is this weather affecting crime, either in a down because nobody's out and about, or up because people are getting sick of it? And then once I heard that the hottest, like the first hot day of the year, crime spikes.
It's kind of an unwritten rule. I call the 70-degree rule, especially in places where it rains like this all the time.
Yeah.
It gets above 70 degrees the first day, and you're going to see boat owners and everybody else. I mean, it's the first time they've seen the sun, and the boat's going on the water. And a lot of times it just goes bananas. I mean, it's only 70 degrees, but it's the first sunny day. Yeah, and as the temperature goes up and we get around springtime, of course, in our community, we have a huge influx of people that come down here to stay at their summer cabins. The first sunny day, everybody's at their summer cabin from all over the country are coming in. Our population goes up. And when you get hot out, you get around 4th of July, and everybody's gathering in different locations, in big numbers. It really does make a big difference. And then fall comes around, and it starts raining, and it slows things down a little bit. We're getting more consistent than we used to be. Our community here years ago, when I first started years ago, we were very much a bedroom community, and many of our properties on the lakes that are now full-time owners that stay there year-round, they were not. I mean, everybody packed up in the wintertime and went home, and then came back to their homes in the summer. But we're having more and more people come here as full-time residences, so our call volume's a little more consistent, but it really does start to go up in the spring and summer.
Well, I'm not seeing any 70 degrees anytime soon, so we don't have to worry
I heard
about
you, on the way in, you were talking about looking for Bigfoot. So if you need somebody to go to Hawaii because you said it hasn't been spotted yet, you can send me over there. I'll go over and take a
search
look.
for him. That's a great idea. All right, Sheriff Salisbury, always nice talking with you. Have a great day.